wicked headaches have laid me low this week. But I wanted to come on just briefly and wrap up a completely wacky week. First, I want to talk about the burn. Bernie blew his cool at a bawling baby, which is really ironic because most Bernie supporters are nothing more than bawling babies. Okay? Bernie just completely lost it because there was a crying baby. Typical. Man of the people hates the people. Bernie shouldn't even be in the conversation. The very fact that so many people think that Bernie Sanders is a viable candidate for president of the United States shows just how much peril the Republic is in. And make no mistake, we are at war and we are on the verge of losing this war. Okay? The president is completely right. They don't hate him. They hate you. They hate me. They hate America. He's just in the way. So Bernie blew his cool. Like I said, it's ironic because most of his supporters are nothing more than bawling babies. But creepy Uncle Joe is the real problem. Okay, people don't remember. In 1988, Plugs had to suspend his presidential campaign when it was revealed that he cheated in college, he cheated in law school, and quite frankly, if you have to cheat to get through Syracuse University Law School, you shouldn't be a lawyer. And he plagiarized a speech from Labor Minister Neil Kinnock in the United Kingdom. He stole one of Neil Kinnock's speeches, quoted him without attribution, and at the time, it was a big enough scandal. See, back then, Democrats actually had some scruples. He had to suspend his campaign. So here Plugs is, 31 years later. He's still the same guy that cheated in college. He's still the same guy that cheated in law school. He's still the same guy that plagiarized a Neil Kinnock speech. But now, he's the best that the Democrats have. And so what does he do? He makes up a story about him pinning a medal on a Marine. The whole thing, even the Washington Post came out and said it was completely made up. The whole thing was made up. He took portions of 3 different stories and glued them together and put him in the middle. This guy is like Zelig. I mean, the only thing he didn't say was that they were he was under sniper fire when he was pinning the medal on the Marine. Unbelievable. The guy makes up a story out of whole cloth, and he's still leading all the polls. Ironically, what might bring him down is he blew a gasket. Now, a subconjunctival hemorrhage, blowing a vessel in the sclera of your eye. You've probably seen people with red eye. It's not a big deal. It happens all the time. It can happen from sneezing. Okay? It can happen from high blood pressure, which leads us to wonder, is Joe on medication for high blood pressure? Let's see Joe's medical records. Why isn't Joe releasing his medical records? Let's see him. They were literally up Ronald Reagan's ass with a camera when he had a colonoscopy. So let's see Joe's health records. Joe has the lightest schedule of any of the Democrat candidates. They're keeping him off the stage because the guy's got the worst case of foot and mouth disease I've ever seen in politics. He's not only a bad speaker, he's literally a walking gaffe machine. But last week was no gaffe. Making up a story by gluing 3 different stories together and putting yourself in the middle as the star, that's not a gaffe. That's a lie. Joe is a liar. Joe Biden is a liar. And he needs to be out of the picture. So, if it's not going to be Joe, who's it going to be? Probably Pocahontas. Pocahontas is as bad as Bernie and AOC put together, with a soup song of screeching Kirsten Gillibrand on top of it. And she's probably going to be the nominee next year. hope and pray it's Joe Biden, because Elizabeth Warren could actually get elected. We're seeing increased farm delinquencies in Wisconsin, which is problematic. We're seeing a weakening of the manufacturing sector, which is problematic. And if we don't address illegal voting, and it's not voter fraud, remember, fraud is an intent crime. To prove intent is impossible. You cannot prove voter fraud. It can't be done, because all the person who voted illegally has to say is, well, they told me I could. And there goes your intent, and there goes your element of your crime. No, the crime is illegal voting. The very act of voting when not entitled to vote is the crime. All you have to do to prove the crime is to prove that the person voted illegally. Words matter. Do not surrender the high ground to them by using their terminology. Challenge their terms every chance you get. Do not use their words. Do not accept their terminology, because if you do, you've lost before the argument's even begun. It's illegal voting, and the president needs to stop it, and he needs to stop it now. Voter ID. Maxine Waters says voter ID is racist, and then she requires photo ID to get into her town hall meetings? Excuse me? Where are the people calling them out on their hypocrisy? You need photo ID for everything. To get on a plane, to buy a six-pack, to buy a bottle of wine, to buy a pack of cigarettes, to buy a gun, to get a welfare check, to get Social Security benefits, to get a driver's license. You need photo ID, proof of citizenship for all of these things. Unfortunately, except not for the driver's licenses, which they're using to get the illegal voter registrations. Democrats cannot win a free and fair election, and they know it. They know it. They cannot win without cheating, and they know it. And Texas better be careful, because Texas is resting on its laurels. Texas thinks it's the bluest of the blue states, and it is not. It is in danger of going red. It is decidedly purple, and Tom Steyer is in there to turn it red, just like he turned Colorado red. Colorado was a reliable blue state, and now, then it was purple, and now it is a reliably red state. It's communist red, thanks to Tom Steyer. And he's next targeting Texas. We've got 5 GOP representatives that are not seeking re-election. 3 of those are either Democrat, toss-ups, or leaning Democrat. 2 of them are solidly Democrat. Texas better get its act together. The Texas GOP better get its act together. And the lieutenant governor saying he wants a red flag law is bad news. I was on the fence about red flag laws, because I can see the rationale. If you know that somebody like that shooter up in, was it Ohio? The kid who had a kill list and a rape list in high school, who was suspended from high school and then allowed back in. If you know that somebody like that is crazy and you need to get weapons away from them, that's one thing. The grandmother in Lubbock, Texas, who had her grandson go to the police and turn his weapons in. That woman saved a lot of lives. The problem isn't guns. The problem is mentally ill people. But it's a real slippery slope. If you can anonymously report people and have the police come and seize their guns with no-knock warrants, kick in the door and take all the weapons, first of all, you're going to get a lot of innocent cops shot. That's number one. And they don't care about that. Number 2 is you're setting up a situation with no due process, and you're guilty until proven innocent. They take your guns, and then you have to prove that you're not a danger in order to get them back. Yeah, let me know how often that's going to happen. This is nothing more than another incremental step toward gun confiscation, which is exactly what they want, which Beto actually was honest enough to come out and say, absolutely, that's what we want, is to confiscate guns. Why? Because fascists cannot allow you to be able to defend yourself, your family, and your home. They need you indefensible. They need you unarmed. They need you unable to defend yourself against a totalitarian government, which is exactly the reason why the founders put in 2A. Now, we've got Alyssa Milano challenging Ted Cruz to a debate on gun control. So Ted said, absolutely, let's have a conversation. And so she called his scheduler, and they've got it on the schedule, and I hope and pray this happens, but I just know Alyssa's going to find some excuse at the last minute to bail, because somebody's going to get to her and say, little girl, you've bitten off way more than you can chew. Ted has argued in front of the Supreme Court in one gun rights cases. He has memorized the Constitution word for word as a teenager. You don't have a chance because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I hope and pray it comes off, because it's just going to be delicious to watch her crash and burn. We're going to play that video over and over and over again. Let's quickly go over and see what else is happening. Please pray, and if you can, contribute to a legitimate organization, not the Red Cross, but do something to help these poor Bahamians. These poor people woke up and found themselves living in downtown San Francisco. Look at that devastation. It looks like the Tenderloin, or it looks like Skid Row in LA, or it looks like any place in West Baltimore. It looks like they are living in a Democrat-run city, these poor people. The Coast Guard was on the scene immediately. They were there before the floodwaters even went down. They were there rescuing people from their rooftops. But anyone who saw that heartbreaking video of the woman trapped on the balcony with her children saying, please pray for us, please pray for us. It was heartrending. That hurricane stayed over the Abacos and Grand Bahama for over a day at Cat 4 and Cat 5. It's absolute devastation. I mean, they can't even put the trash anyplace. They're going to have to literally just bulldoze the islands and start over again, these poor people. And now we've got sharks in the flooded waters, of course, because there's a lot of sharks in the Caribbean. So the people can't even wade through the water without fear of getting shark bit. So please pray for them. Do something for them if you can. But it was just a horrible situation. And all the haters, including that progressive prime minister from Canada, who was prime minister for 4 months and a week, 4 months and 10 days, 30 years ago, or 25 years ago, who thinks that she's still relevant, but is a typical hate-filled leftist who wished that the hurricane would slam into Mar-a-Lago. Well, all the weather sites, you see, when you look at these spaghetti predictions, the spaghetti string potential tracks, you don't look at each one individually. So yes, one of them had it crossing over Florida and coming back again. Well, that happened a few years ago. A hurricane crossed Florida into the Gulf and then bounced back across Florida again. But if you look at all of the tracks in aggregate, they nailed this one. It went due west to Florida, and then it stayed offshore. It skirted the coast all the way up, and that's exactly what it's done. But Charleston is flooded, 240,000 people without electrician, including my friend Kat, and it's headed on up to Cape Hatteras in the Outer Banks. There's a lot of flooding up there too. So just because it didn't make landfall and just because we don't have the devastation that they had in the Bahamas doesn't mean that this storm is not impacting people on our southeastern coast. Okay, here's what we've got. Bloody hell, the Nets spike Biden eye drama. Now, why would the Nets not report on this? Why would that be? Oh, I guess they wouldn't report if President Trump had a subconjunctival hemorrhage during a town hall either. I guess, yeah, they probably wouldn't report that either. Are you kidding me? That's all they would be talking about for weeks. For weeks. But here's what I'm talking about. Texas Republicans sound alarm about rapidly evolving state. Texas Republicans had better get on the stick. If you are in Texas and you're registered as GOP and you're not involved in your local GOP committee, if you're not involved in the Get Out the Vote, if you're not going to be driving people to the polls next November, not this coming November, but next November, you've got a year. I call on all of you to sign up with your local GOP committee, to get active, to find out who the people are, to find out what is needed, make phone calls, drive people to the polls, help with the get out the vote, canvass with candidates, do whatever you can to keep Texas Republican, because we cannot lose Texas. Absolutely cannot lose Texas. It's a sine qua non, without which not. Without Texas, President Trump loses. California is just embracing the crazy. For some reason, they must think that their Democrat mayors and their Democrat governor is doing a bang-up job, because they're just embracing the crazy and they're asking for more of it. All we can hope for California at this point, California is lost. California is not going to vote blue again. It has not gone blue since Ronald Reagan, and it's not going to vote blue again. All we can hope for California is, like New York, like Massachusetts, that it loses electoral college votes. We need conservatives to move out of California, preferably to Colorado, to turn Colorado blue again, preferably to Texas, to keep Texas reliably blue. We need good, solid conservatives, business people, small business people, employers to move out of California. Exodus from California. Go back to America. Have California lose some of its 55 electoral college votes. That's our best hope for California. If they lose 5 or 10 electoral college votes, maybe they'll figure out that they're on the wrong track. I don't see it ever happening, because they changed the election law so that now it's the top 2 vote getters in the primaries, and that means guaranteed a Democrat general election runoff. So California is gone. The GOP there caved. They are absolutely pusillanimous. That's the problem with the GOP. And that's why GOPE hates Trump. That's why the Never-Trumpers hate Trump, because Trump fights. And that's what we need. That's what I've been calling for 30 years since Reagan left us. The saddest day, one of the saddest days of my life, was watching that helicopter, that Marine helicopter, which was no longer Marine One because it was carrying Private Citizen Reagan and Private Citizen Nancy Reagan, up from the other side of the Capitol, from the east side of the Capitol. The helicopter lifted up, and all you could see was Dutch's hand waving to us. And I'll tell you, it choked me up. And my girlfriend asked me, she said, "Why are you so upset?" And I said, "Because I don't know whether we will ever see a fighter like him in the Oval Office again." And thank heaven we have President Trump. But we need to keep him, but we need to start looking forward to 2024. And we can't do any of this unless we take back the House next year. If we do not take back the House next year, we've got Lumpty Dumpty, Jerry Nadler, quoting Bible verses on CNN today in saying that he's going to start yet another investigation into President Trump. Are you kidding me? Gerald Nadler has hated Donald Trump for 40 years. This is nothing more than the spite of a 5'3" man for a 6'3" billionaire. All it is hate and jealousy. Jerry Nadler needs to be bounced. He never will, because he's got the Upper West Side of Manhattan, but he is an absolute disgrace. All of these Democrats are absolute disgraces, and they need to be shot down. This I cannot believe. And I've got to fly American Airlines in 4 weeks out to Indy and back. I've got 4 flights on American, and I hate American, but it was the only way to get there. I hate American Airlines. But you know who else hates American Airlines? All the Bullwinkles hate American Airlines. And now we've got Abdul Majid Ali Kaboom. They've got him working as a mechanic. He shouldn't even be allowed on the tarmac. Why do you have any Bullwinkles on the ground crew on American Airlines planes or any planes? It's a terrorist attack waiting to happen. I don't care if that's politically incorrect. And it isn't a racial thing, because I don't care who they are. They could be a white Scandinavian. If they're a Bullwinkle, they are a terrorist threat. because you never know. If someone's unholy book commands them to lie, how can you ever take them at their word that they are peaceful? They are not immigrants. They are not here to make America better. They are invaders here to take over America. This is the fundamental transformation that resident Satoru Bunel was talking about. So here we have Abdul Majid Maouf Ahmed Alani Al-Kaboom using a piece of foam to block a sensor that is necessary for the pilots to have airspeed and altitude. A plane crashed a few years ago because that sensor had been blocked. Thank heavens the pilot saw a light on and realized that something was wrong and scrubbed the flight. If the pilots had not aborted that flight, and this happened July 17th, and we're just finding out about this now a month and a half later. This happened on July 17th. Why weren't we told about this on July 17th or July 18th at the latest? I'm actually amazed that the AP put Abdul Majid Maouf Ahmed Alani Al-Kaboom's name on the article. I'm stunned that they didn't say a South Asian man. And yet here we have nothing in the criminal complaint against Ali Kaboom suggests any link to terrorism. Are you kidding me? Get your head out of the sand. We said after 9/11, never forget. Well, guess what, folks? We have forgotten, and shame on us. And shame on the people who wouldn't follow simple directions and continued to use the sad emoji and the angry emoji like this. Okay, let's see. Oh, we got to block some more people here because I have been blocking them like it is my job. I'll take care of that later. A couple of these people are good people, I know, that they just haven't gotten the memo. But I have been blocking people from this page like it is my job. Timbo is not going to have any politics on his page anymore. All that's going to be there are pictures of kittens and unicorns and rainbows. So if you want the political snark and all the info, follow Patriot Uprising, like the page, set it to notifications, and this is where all the action is going to be from now on. Oh, Jennifer Aniston's a racist. She's engaged in using blackface because she has a tan in a freaking fashion magazine that was channeling 60s and 70s looks, where the tan look was in. Are you kidding me? The girl is Greek and you're going to dictate how tan she can be? These people don't care. They will never be appeased. Do not make the mistake of trying to appease them. They are Nazis. And just like Adolf Hitler, there is no appeasing them. Neville Chamberlain found that out the hard way. We've achieved peace on our time. Yeah, how did that work out for you, Neville? Do not ever try to rationalize with these people. Do not ever try to reason with them. Do not ever try to appease them. Their whole objective is to keep you on your heels. If you give 1 millimeter, they won't relent. They will keep attacking. All they're trying to do is keep you on your heels. You have a moral imperative to fight back. You need to attack right back. And the best way to attack back is with ridicule. Every time they say something ridiculous, if you cede the terms of the debate to them, if you use their language, if you accept their terrain, if you argue on the turf they've staked out, you have already lost. The only way to respond to these ridiculous, absurd, ludicrous, demented attacks is to ridicule them. Every time they come up with the ridiculous attacks, you need to stand back and ridicule them. Because eventually, if you keep playing the little boy who said the emperor has no clothes, a lot of people are going to wake up and realize, yeah, not only does the emperor have no clothes, but the emperor is clothed in hate. All they have is hate. Look at this. God bless this mother. Students were ordered to reveal their sexuality, religious beliefs in a 10th grade honors English class. She made them list why they were privileged. And she said, although I'm bisexual, I'm white, and therefore I'm privileged because I'm white. Well, how do you think that made all the minority kids in the class feel? Oh, teacher's privileged because she's white. I'm not white, therefore I'm not privileged. Are you kidding me? And she's asking these children, compelling them to disclose information that it would be illegal for an employer to ask. So God bless this mother for fighting back. That's what you need to do. You need to push back. You need to fight. You need to resist. You need to never, ever give up. Never, ever give in. And here we have Blasey Ford. Oh, it turns out that, yeah, she was lying. And this wasn't about the fact that Brent Kavanaugh assaulted her. No, this was just about putting an asterisk next to his name so that if he votes against Roe v. Wade, it will call the legitimacy of the decision into question because he's got an asterisk for his name? Yeah, that's what her attorney said. The whole objective was to put an asterisk after his name. She said that at a legal forum. She didn't think that people were videotaping. She didn't think people were taking notes. We're on to these people. You can never, ever, ever give in to them. Everything on the left is either a lie or based on a lie. They will scruple at nothing. They truly believe that by any means necessary is their moral imperative. Evil, that's what they are. Pure feckin' evil. They're absolute communists. I've even made the t-shirt. Where is it? Here it is. Let me show you in white so you can see it. Commie-crats. They hate you. They hate me. They hate America. A lot of good stuff on the website. Check that out if you're of a mind to. Keep looking at Patriot Uprising, the page. That's where all the political snark is going to be. I've got to go now, but I wanted to spend just a little bit of time with you this weekend, or to wrap up this week. I hope you have a great weekend. Please pray that my headaches go away. I've got to use the sunglasses because these lights are so bright. I can't do this anymore, but I did want to come in, say hello, give you my thoughts on everything that's been going on this week. Please take my exhortation seriously. We need to fight back every chance we get. Every time we encounter their hatred, every time we encounter their divisiveness, every time we encounter their racism, every time we encounter their ridiculousness, we need to push back, either with ridicule, with legal challenges, like that mother whose son was in the 10th grade honors English class. You need to push back. Never accept their terminology. It's not voter fraud. It's illegal voting. We need to hold them to account. God bless you. God bless these United States. Keep fighting the good fight.